This is actually a video that I've been wanting to make for many years because every day I receive emails and calls from salespeople. And I always feel like 99% of these salespeople are doing the same thing wrong. So in this video, I'm going to explain what they're doing wrong. I'll talk about why they do it, the impact of making this mistake, and how to solve it and prevent yourself from making this same mistake. But when I'm talking to these salespeople, either over the phone or I'm reading their emails, almost all of them, in my opinion, are being narcissistic in their approach, what they are trying to talk about, how they're communicating, and what they're trying to do. And so to help me try to explain to you what my belief is here and what the problem is, I actually went online to a dictionary and looked up the word narcissistic. It's an adjective where someone is extremely self-centered with an exaggerated sense of self-importance marked by or characteristic of an excessive admiration of or infatuation with oneself. So when I read that, I thought, okay, we're going in the right direction, but maybe I'm being a little harsh by saying these salespeople are narcissistic, and maybe this is a little bit too extreme. So with that, I actually looked at synonyms of narcissistic, and I saw here self-absorbed and drilled into that a little bit. And self-absorbed is also an adjective, and it means being absorbed in one's own thoughts, activities, and interests. And I thought, okay, here is what the problem is. It's that salespeople are using a self-absorbed approach, and it really centers around salespeople focusing and talking about their own interests. And that's what we're talking about here, and that's what the problem is. And to paint this picture for you, let's talk about what a salesperson's interests are. A salesperson wants to talk about the product they sell and the company they work for. Not only do they want to talk about this because they're trying to sell their product, but they likely have a lot of interest in what they sell and the company they work for because they live and breathe this stuff every day. And we as humans like to talk about the stuff we have an interest in and a lot of knowledge about. This is why you can see coworkers go to a bar after work and still talk about work and talk shop for hours and have a lot of fun with that. Another main interest for a salesperson is to sell their product, because not only is that their job, but that's how they make money. And we're all coin operated and driven to make more money, and for a salesperson to make more commissions. A salesperson probably has an interest in maintaining or improving their level of job security. They likely have some form of ambition and want to advance their career. And at the end of the day, why a salesperson might care about all those other areas is to simply provide for themselves and for their family in terms of a home and food and security. So if we can agree that these are the main things that a salesperson is interested in, what I want to show you is when a salesperson communicates with a prospect, they're focused on these interests and not the prospect's interest, which is why 99% of them are using a self-absorbed, almost narcissistic sales approach. Now, I get emails every day that I would love to read to you and show you just how self-absorbed these salespeople are, but I don't want to bore you to death. And instead, I'm just going to show you an outline that almost all of these self-absorbed cold emails correspond with. And that's that the emails start out with the salesperson saying, this is who I am and the role I'm in. This is the company I work for. This is what we sell. This is what it does. Do you need what I sell? Can I schedule a meeting with you to talk about what I sell? Now, this is an extremely common flow, and almost all of those talking points and things that the salesperson is either telling the prospect or wants to talk about align with the salesperson's interests. And to demonstrate that to you a little bit further, let's outline what the prospect's interests are. If you're selling B2B and the prospect works for a company or owns a company, the prospect also probably likes talking about the product their company sells or what their company does in the same way that the salesperson does. The prospect probably wants to improve the performance for their company or the role that they're playing in their company. The prospect also is likely motivated by money and wanting to improve their level of job security, advance their own personal career, and they also want to provide for their family. Now, when you look at these sets of interests side by side, You could say that the prospect and the salesperson have the exact same interests, but that would be incorrect. While these interests completely align in most ways, these interests are completely different. For example, if you have kids and I have kids, we likely both have a deep level of interest in our kids and in the well-being of our kids. But your kids are different from my kids. So when you spend time talking about your kids, you're actually not connecting with the interests that I have in my own kids. And that's exactly what happens here when you have the self-absorbed salesperson focusing primarily on their own interests. There's a level of disconnect with what the prospect is interested in. And I try to put some thought into how I feel when these self-absorbed salespeople are trying to communicate to me. And the way I feel is that I feel like these salespeople are creating a feeling of conflict or a setting of conflict with their sales approach. And so to try to help me explain that thought to you, I went back to the dictionary and looked up the word conflict. And a conflict is a noun referring to a competitive or opposing action of incompatibilities, antagonistic state or action, as of divergent ideas, interests, and persons. Once again, we have the word here of interest. And I think that's what's happening in all these scenarios with all of these salespeople using a self-absorbed, almost narcissistic sales approach, is that they are inadvertently creating this conflict with the person that they're trying to talk to, that they're trying to build a relationship with, that they're trying to sell their product to. And that has to be having a very direct and detrimental impact on effectiveness and sales results. So the first thing this conflict creates is a level of discomfort, at least for the prospect. They have this feeling of annoying salesperson that's trying to sell their product and talk about all the stuff they care about and start to become a disruption and a distraction from all the other things the prospect needs to do. This feeling of discomfort can start to trigger guardedness with the prospect feeling like, this is a distraction and uncomfortable, and this is something that I need to get away from. And so the prospect will start to use objections if they're talking to the salesperson by saying stuff like, I'm not interested, we already use someone, I don't have time for this. And that leads to the salesperson experiencing more rejection by prospects wanting to end their conversations and get away from them. And ultimately, that leads to missed opportunities. Sure, some of those prospects that say they're not interested or that they already use someone, maybe there is 100% no opportunity there. But in a lot of those scenarios, you have prospects ending those conversations and interactions prematurely because of the feeling of discomfort and the conflict type of setting that the self-absorbed salesperson is creating. And when those interactions end, there are many scenarios where there could have been an opportunity for the salesperson to provide their product, their service, their solution, and help the prospect in some sort of way. And those are missed opportunities that will not show up on the sales reports for the organization and company that the salesperson works for. Now, if any of this is connecting with you and you feel like you might be doing some of this yourself, the first thing to know is to not feel bad, because it's completely understandable for 99% of salespeople to sell in this way. Because at the most basic level, us humans, we're all self-absorbed. We all have our own interests. We all care about our own things. We care about our own stuff. So it's only natural and understandable for a salesperson to jump very quickly to talking about their own stuff and focusing on their own interests. It's also probably more logical for a salesperson to use a self-absorbed approach. The salesperson has a product to sell. The salesperson was hired by a company to sell that product. It's only logical for the salesperson to try to go out and talk about their product as much as they can to as many people as they can. This is usually also how we are trained. If you're a new sales hire for a company, the first thing they'll do is put you through product training to train you on all the details of the product and what it does. When you finish training, you're usually given a quota and a territory and told to go sell. So it's only logical for you to go out and focus on your own interests of selling the product and trying to make commissions and make money. And speaking of commissions and money, to be a self-absorbed, almost narcissistic salesperson, it actually aligns with our motivations. Us humans are coin operated, and we're motivated to do what's going to make us money. And selling our product is what makes us money. So to go out and talk about the product and try to sell the product aligns with our incentives and motivations. So if you agree that it might not be optimum to be such a self-absorbed salesperson, how can we minimize that, or how can we prevent that? Well, the solution is pretty simple. Instead of being self-absorbed and all about you, make your communications and what you try to do more about the prospect. And to do that, focus less on your interests and more on the prospect's interests, especially in early stage conversations and when you're first reaching out to the prospect. Try to do what you can to make sure you're always answering the question of what's in it for me for the prospect. That's the main thing that your prospect cares about. You could sell the coolest, most advanced product and work for a really innovative, interesting company. And in most cases, the prospect does not really care about that. They care about what your very cool product can do for them. What's in it for them if they buy your product? And when you're talking about the product and its features, you're often not answering this question. You have to go one step further to focus on benefits and value and improvements your product can deliver. And one other thing you can do is try to communicate in a way where you're making it a win-win for both you, the salesperson, and a win for the prospect. With a more self-absorbed, almost narcissistic approach, you make it more of a zero-sum game instead of a win-win. Zero-sum means if we do this, I win and you lose, or you win and I lose. And a very clear example of that for the self-absorbed salesperson is if I put a meeting on your calendar to talk about my product, I'm taking an hour of time away from you, you lose an hour, and I gain by being given the opportunity to talk to you for an hour about my product. That's zero sum. And what you can do is try to make it more win-win. Yes, if we're going to meet for an hour, I'm putting an hour on your calendar, and if it makes sense, I may talk about my product or service. So that is indeed a win for me. But it's also a win for the prospect because I'm going to be providing information about how they can improve things. And I'm going to talk about how my product or service can improve their product and their company and improve the performance of their company and help the company and the prospect to make more money. Now, if you know how to make all those changes to being more about the prospect, that's great. If you want help with that and more direction with that, we actually have a full sales training methodology called the Smart Sales System. And the great thing is that it's all on YouTube and you can go through our full training program for free. But our training program is a true consultative selling sales methodology, and it will tell you everything you need to know and all the changes you need to make to minimize being a self-absorbed, possibly narcissistic salesperson, and to transition to making all of your communications, everything you're trying to do, more about the prospect. There's a module on how to create a sales message that is more about the prospect. There's a module on cold calling, cold emailing, voicemails, getting around objections, getting around gatekeepers, qualifying, closing, and more. And if you want to check out our training program, I'll put a link in the description to where you can access that. And that is pretty much it. If you want more information, the best place to go is salescriptor.com. Thanks for being here. Hope this was helpful, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.